are super popular as well. This DIY is really inexpensive because the only thing you really have to buy is fabric paint and sponge brushes, which I found for super cheap at the dollar store. And this is a long video, but this DIY is actually incredibly easy. I'm just giving you guys as much information as possible, so that made the video kinda long. So if you want to know how to make your own sporty t-shirt and flannel, then just keep on watching. So I'm going to start with the sporty t-shirt since it's a bit more complicated. So the first step is to create your stencils. First, I'm downloading a font from font.com, and the one that appealed to me the most is this font called Jersey M54, since it's really simple and therefore it'll be easier to cut out of your stencil. And all of the fonts on this website are completely free to download, and they do give you instructions for both Macs and PCs, so just follow those instructions to install your font. Once my font is installed, I'm just opening a Word document and typing what I want my t-shirt to say. I'm doing my last name and my lucky number, but obviously you can do whatever you want and it's totally customizable. And I'm playing around with the page margins and font sizes to get it to be the size that I want. You want to print this out onto cardstock paper because you want your stencil to be as sturdy and stiff as possible, because it will wrinkle and bend when you're applying the paint to your shirt just from the moisture. And before I print it out, I'm changing the color to light gray just to save some ink. Next, I'm cutting out my stencil using an X-Acto blade and a metal ruler on a cutting mat. We are going to be using the white part of this, so try to keep your cuts nice and precise. And I'm going to show you guys how I deal with the letters and numbers that have holes. So I'm just going to take the cutout letter from the stencil, cut out the hole that's in the letter, and put a piece of masking tape over the hole, and then cut out the hole again. And you'll be left with basically a sticker version of the hole that you will stick onto the t-shirt later. And I want my shirt to be a crop top, so I'm just cutting off the bottom of the t-shirt, but this would also be really cute on a really oversized t-shirt to wear like a t-shirt dress. So to paint the numbers onto your shirt, you're going to need fabric paint, sponge brushes, your stencil, and masking tape. And I'm also putting my cutting mat inside the t-shirt to prevent the paint from leaking through onto the other side, but you could just use some pieces of paper, newspaper, cardboard, basically anything. So I'm flattening out my t-shirt to get rid of any of the wrinkles, and then I'm placing my stencil where I want it, making sure that it's even on both sides. And when I'm happy with the placement, I'm taping it down with masking tape. You want to work with small amounts of paint at a time because this paint does dry really quickly, so you don't want to waste any. And I'm simply dabbing the paint onto my shirt, holding down the stencil in the area that I'm working with just to make sure none of the paint leaks through. And of course you can build it up until it's opaque. For the black paint, I found that I only really needed 1 or 2 coats. And when that is completely dry, you can just carefully peel off your stencil. And I did the same steps for my name at the top of the shirt, and I'm sticking on the holes from those letters and dabbing on the paint the same as before. When that is completely dry, I'm carefully picking at those letter holes with my X-Acto knife, peeling those off, and then removing the rest of the stencil. For the stripes on the sleeves, I'm first taking my masking tape and blocking off where I want the stripe to start. And then I'm doing the same for where I want the stripe to end. And I did the other sleeve first, so I'm measuring this to make sure that it's even. And make sure to press that tape down and get a good seal of it with your shirt, just so that the paint doesn't leak underneath. And once that is blocked off, I'm just filling that in with my paint and sponge brush. Once one side is dry to the touch, I'm just flipping it over and painting the other side. And then I'm painting the awkward areas in between. And I lost the footage of it, but when your stripe is completely dry, you can just peel off that tape and repeat the same steps for the second stripe. And of course you can do as many stripes as you want, I just decided that 2 was the look I was going for. I just wanted to show you guys that I also added a number to the front of the shirt as well, and I would create a new stencil for this since the paint does make the sides curl up a bit, and it's just going to have a better result if you use a fresh stencil every time. And that is how to make your own sporty t-shirt. For the flannel, it's basically the same steps. I've just printed out my stencil and cut it out. And I'm taping over the cutout hole in the O and cutting that out to create a sticker version of the hole. Next, I'm positioning my stencils onto the flannel and taping the two pieces together just so they stay in place. Before I tape my stencil down to my flannel, I'm making sure it's completely flat and pulled tight to get rid of any wrinkles. And then I'm just taping that in place and sticking on the holes from the O's. I used white fabric paint for this flannel, and my paint was not that pigmented for some reason, so I mixed in some white acrylic paint to make it more vibrant. Since fabric paint is a type of acrylic paint, you can add acrylic paint to brighten it or change the color, but you want your mixture to still be mostly fabric paint because it's formulated to be softer and more bendable than regular acrylic paint. So I applied about 3 coats of this paint in a dabbing motion, letting it dry completely in between coats. And when that is completely dry, I'm just peeling off my stencil and removing the holes from the O's. And that is how to make your very own Brandy Melville inspired sporty flannel. I know this is like the longest video ever, but it's actually such an easy DIY. I just want to give you guys all the information to make sure it's nice and clear and nothing's confusing. I am so obsessed with these two pieces and I want to make so many more in different colors now. I think this would also look really cute if you did like pastel. This DIY is super customizable and the possibilities are seriously endless. You could put your name, your city, your school, even your username from Twitter or Instagram or something. There's so many different things you can do with this DIY. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.